fun reading about health nuggets, and I actually advise you, if you can, try and volunteer to do a health nugget, because you get to learn quite a bit of good information. Because the last time I talked to my doctor, I actually did a physical exam, and the doctor told me my cholesterol is very low. And I said, yeah, that's good. No, he said, no, that's actually not good. You need to get some good cholesterol up, because we need cholesterol in our bodies. Now I went to do my health nugget, and I can tell you why that's a good thing, to get some cholesterol up and some of them down. So atherosclerosis is hardening and thickening of arteries. And how this happens? It happens over decades. So this is one of those silent killers. And this is you may be comfortable, but it comes and eventually kills you suddenly. And so what happens where the arteries narrow is because first you have deposit of cholesterol on the arteries, and then other things come along, cells and calcium and all other fats, and then eventually, as you can see, the vein on the left is no more, and on the left and the right has some plaque. And once that happens, your blood slows down flow, and then if you're lucky, you get angina, which is chest pain, and then shortness of breath. I say if you're lucky because then you get a warning sign. Otherwise, you don't get a warning sign until you die. So then what tends to happen once you have that happening over decades, and then you get sudden exertion of, say, exercise, or or some kind of a shock event, and then your blood flow increases, and then that can rupture the part of the plaque, and once that ruptures, it causes clotting, and then it completely blocks your artery, which now is called coronary thrombosis, meaning the blockage, and eventually that can happen in any arteries of the body, and eventually then wherever the blood is flowing to, that tissue dies, and that's called necrosis. So if that happens in the coronary artery, you have a heart attack, and then or coronary thrombosis. It can also happen in other arteries of the body. The next artery can happen on the carotid arteries on your neck, and that again stops blood flow to the brain, and then obviously you get a stroke. And then it can also happen, either in the legs. Then you have some type of necrosis. So this is a very silent killer. If you see the example they've given there, you see the coronary artery is the artery that feeds the blood, the heart itself. And once you have a blockage, then you have the heart dies, and then obviously you can't survive. You can't survive anymore. So the biggest culprit is this molecule called cholesterol. And cholesterol is actually very, very important for life. It actually makes most of our hormones in the body. It's also a precursor to making vitamin D. And it's also an essential component of the cell membrane. So if you don't have cholesterol, you are probably dead. So cholesterol itself does not dissolve in water, so it cannot dissolve in blood. So in the body you find it attached to some proteins called lipoproteins, which helps it to be transported around the blood. So you don't find cholesterol by itself, but it's normally attached to some proteins called lipoproteins. And depending on what proteins are attached to it, it can be called very low density. If you have very little protein, it's very low. It has a lower density. And then you have the medium density one, which is lower density, and then the high density cholesterol, which is the good cholesterol. So, sources of cholesterol. First and foremost, we need cholesterol in diet.
Yes.
Actually, we don't need cholesterol in diet because our body makes cholesterol, but we need cholesterol. However, that's the first source of the body. I don't think, I've never heard of a case of somebody having deficiency of cholesterol because all our bodies are able to make it. However, you can also get cholesterol from diet. And do plants have cholesterol?
Some.
Actually, no. You cannot get cholesterol from plants. All the cholesterol that you have is from animal sources. Plants have similar molecules of cholesterol, but they don't have cholesterol itself. So if you eat plant-based diet, you need to worry about cholesterol because we don't get it from diet. That's what it appears like, but yes, we do, and this is why. If you get to eat, for example, the trans fatty acids, if you have any processed vegetable oil, it will have trans fatty acids. So oil, when they get in special margarine, it's oil. So to make it spreadable and nice like butter, they do what is called hydrogenation, and that actually introduces trans fatty acids to that. So if you eat any processed vegetable oil, you'll be getting trans fatty acids, so you need to stay away from that. If you eat a lot of sugar, then what's the trans fatty acid and the high sugar, what they tend to happen, they stimulate the body to produce cholesterol, and therefore you have a sustained amount of cholesterol in the blood, even though you're not actually eating cholesterol itself. So yes, if you are eating only vegetables, you still need to worry about cholesterol because your body is meant to produce more cholesterol than it needs. Then, as I mentioned earlier, there are two types of cholesterol. There is good cholesterol, and it's good because this is the type that stimulates it's the type that is necessary for the body, and once it's high density cholesterol, it doesn't stay in the bloodstream. It goes straight to the liver, and then it produces the vitamins and the hormones that we produced about. The low density cholesterol, which is the bad cholesterol, tends to stick to arteries, and then that's what causes atherosclerosis. So the last point is that yes, so we need to be careful of the types of fats we eat, and so avoid processed vegetable fats and animal fats. So the last point is how do we reverse this? As always, the same things we know before: God's plan, exercise, and the right diet, and air and sunshine and all those good things. But in particular, we need to eat legumes. That is beans and peas and lentils. What they do first is they absorb cholesterol if you have it in your digestive system, and then they use a lot of bile to digest. Therefore, it forces the body to use up cholesterol in the bloodstream. Therefore, it makes us healthy. Thank you.